Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be talking about some tips and tricks for the Fortnite no build mode. Fortnite these days isn't really my main game, but at the same time, every time I do log in and play with my friends, I've noticed that a lot of people that we fight don't really have that much strategies when it comes to, playing the no build mode. So I thought I'd make a video just to give my tips and tricks on how to improve. Now, before I start saying all the tips and tricks, I just want to clarify that I am no Fortnite no build pro. I can show you my stats right here. I have around 800 matches in total for the no build mode since it came out, and I average around like a 5 to 6 KD, whatever it may be for that season. So this is more for casual players and people who like to play with their friends or just like to queue up in mostly duos, trios, or squads. I think solos is definitely a different game, and some of these tips might not completely translate to a solo game, but they still are very helpful, and just want to make that disclaimer right now. The first tip I want to give is pretty basic, and it's just your in-game settings. You can probably find several other videos that will give in-depth details about which settings to use, but for the most part, most of you guys are going to want to use lower graphics. If you have a high-end PC and your computer can take those high-end graphics, then go ahead. But for the most part, low graphics has always worked for me, and it's given me the most frames. Another thing you want to be mindful of is the FPS setting. So I would recommend using one higher than whatever your monitor hertz is. So for example, I have a 240 hertz monitor, and so I use 360 FPS in game. So the next tip I want to give is how to improve your aim or fighting skills in general. And I know a lot of the times people will just tell you, oh, just keep playing the game and you'll get better. But one thing that Fortnite does have is different creative maps, such as the no build TDM maps that are available. And, going into those versus going into Battle Royale, the thing is that when you go into Battle Royale mode only, you don't respawn. There's a lot of downtime, and sometimes you might not even be able to get a fight in. But the creative maps just put you on the spot. They give you the guns that you need. You're able to practice whatever gun it is, and you're able to get that consistent fighting. So I would definitely recommend checking out those different types of maps. But at the same time, if you want to improve your mechanical skills more, there are different creative maps for that. There's also some other sources such as Kovacs and Aim Labs. A lot of people have different opinions on those as well. I would personally recommend trying out one and seeing if it improves. It might not. It might. I use Kovacs almost every single time before I, start my match, just like 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't take too much time, and for me, it's not really that. I don't think it's like too big of a deal, or it's not like strenuous on me, or I find it super boring. Like I find it fun. I just listen to music and just start warming up my aim. So do whatever you feel is most comfortable. But if you already feel like you're good at aim, you have the fighting skills down, you just can't manage to actually, figure out how to consistently win games or get those high kill games, then, keep on following this video and I'll give you more tips for that. So probably the most important thing I'll be talking about this video is the different items that you should be holding in game. So I know that in builds, oftentimes if you think about your most ideal loadout, it will probably be something like a pump, SMG, AR, and maybe like a sniper, grapple glove, or maybe some heals. Now forget all of that, and I want you to rethink how and what items that you carry in this game mode. Now, what do I mean by that? So, I want to go over each different item slot that you should be holding and basically attaching a certain purpose to each item slot versus choosing a specific item. So, the first one will be your close range weapon, which is usually a shotgun or SMG. Now, understand the Fortnite meta comes and goes so often. There are several guns that get vaulted, there are several guns that get added. So, I want you to just choose whatever shotgun or SMG of your preference. Um, this could be the prime shotgun, this could be the lever action currently right now, but they could bring back the pump at any minute. So, whatever your favorite close range weapon is, that will be your default. Now, the second item slot will be the medium to long range weapon, this could be a hammer, a ranger, evochrome, burst, and AR, AUG, whatever the meta is at that time. Choose a weapon that basically you're able to fight somebody medium to long range that also does have a spray just in case if you need to, the person gets up close, you got a prime shotgun, you can switch to this weapon. It's not going to be as effective, of course, as an SMG, but the thing is that the item slots in no build are so much more valuable than in build because you don't have any real, defense to guard yourself. And if you have just, a prime SMG and an AR as well, there's just you have too many items or too many weapons in my opinion. So choose a weapon that can basically do a little bit of both, but mostly is going to be for medium to long range. Now, the next slot is an interesting one. I like to call this the X Factor item, which is pretty much going to be, and mind you, I do play mostly duos, trios, or squads, so I don't really play too much solos, but oftentimes, if both of my teammates in a trio game are down and I'm in a 3v1 situation, if I were to just go in there, with my pump or with a SMG only, there's a good chance I would die, unless if I was able to just one tap them all or if they were all super low. So I want to have an item that basically can turn the tables and put myself at an advantage rather than a disadvantage. Probably the most overpowered gun right now would be the Hunter Bolt, simply because you're able to one tap people, and it's the only gun that it's been like that since no builds came out. But if I'm in a trio game and I'm able to get a snipe headshot on somebody, it's now a 2v1. If I'm able to you know, happen to headshot snipe somebody else with the Hunter Bolt, I'm now at a 1v1. Other items could be such as like boogies, so being able to isolate, that 1v1. Let's say I boogie their teammates and I'm able to now get a 1v1 with somebody else, or I boogie them and then I can, get the knock before they do any damage to me. Another X Factor item could be grenades. Again, just throwing them. Let's say that all three of them are kind of close to each other. Just go ahead and throw those nades, and you're able to take a lot of damage for them very quickly before really entering the fight. So the X Factor item is extremely important, and I think it's the biggest difference when it comes to builds versus no builds. The next item I'm going to be talking about is, I like to call it just the defensive item. This could be anywhere between a shockwave grenade, a porta-fort, a porta-bunker, grapple glove, grappler, whatever is available at the time. This item pretty much helps you escape any sticky situation, because we all know that third parties are inevitable. They're going to happen in battle royales. You need to be able to have a weapon that you can either escape or defend yourself from all those different third parties. And one of these items, depending on how you play, and if you're more of an aggressive player or if you're more just in general more of a defensive player, these items can basically help you, assess the situation or even get out of a sticky situation. And the last item probably is going to be just heals. Personally, my favorite heals right now is the chug splashes. Shield kegs probably next, but I don't really recommend minis in no builds just because you do have that overheal. But if you are a fan of holding minis, go ahead. Yeah, you should probably always have heals on you at all times. So the next thing I want to talk about is drop locations. And to be honest, once again, we play this game to have fun. I would definitely not recommend, landing in the same spot every single time. But if you like that, go ahead. Just remember, wherever you land, have an idea of where all the chests are, have an idea of where the guns could be. So if you are in a hot drop spot, then you're able to pick up those guns and, fight immediately and not be at a disadvantage just running around looking for chests. There's not really too much else involved in that, but I guess just make sure you're communicating with your team, where you're landing, and if you do play with the same people over and over again, you'll start to also understand where they land, so you're able to help them out immediately. So the next topic I want to talk about is the high ground, which is extremely important, and it wasn't builds as well, but unlike builds, you're not able to crank those 90s anymore, and you could be at a severe disadvantage if you're fighting somebody that does have the high ground. So Let's just say, for example, that you're in a squad and you spot another team and you guys are around on the same level. You want to use one of those defensive items that I talked about before to get the high ground. So whether that would be to shockwave yourself up to the nearest hill, or that would be to just drop the porta fort. Porta bunkers don't really work as much in this situation, but I want you to use those items to put yourself at an advantage pretty much before you start the fight. A lot of the times people will just go in and, whether it be just to charge at them or, just to expose yourself in the wide open and just start AR spamming them. Oftentimes that we and that's what I call a 50-50. Like, you do have a shot at beating them, don't get me wrong, but if you're playing squads, there's still three other people that can be shooting at you. And and of course you'll have your teammates help, but they could be knocked at any minute as well. All you guys are just 50-50 each other. So try and put yourself at an advantage by getting the high ground, whether it be shockwaving yourself up or just placing down a porta fort, or grapple glove to the nearest building, whatever it may be. But that will help you be able to control the fight more. You'll be able to heal without getting shot at or without having to run. You just have to not peek. And high ground is pretty much the most important thing when it comes to engaging into fights. So let's say that you're in a situation where there's a enemy team above that has the high ground, and you don't have any shockwaves, you don't have any mobility, and you're on the low ground, and the only thing that you have is a couple trees for protection, as well as maybe a bush. Obviously, utilize them. Stand behind a tree, stand or go into the bush if you can to avoid them shooting at you. But the main thing that you want to do is to use that X Factor item, such as the Hunter Bolt or the grenades, to be able to get a knock. Now, once you get the knock, it's important to understand that if you were to go up and try and get that thirst or push up, they're going to be, number one, because they're able to double or triple res, they're already going to get their teammate up. And then at that point, you just ran into a 1v4 situation, and there's a good chance that you're going to lose, unless if you have more, unless if you just throw some grenades, maybe get another Hunter Bolt snipe. But it's very difficult to, put yourself in in a situation where you can overcome a 1v4 while approaching the high ground. So instead, accept that you're not going to get that kill. It's totally fine, but go ahead and readjust your situation. You have time now, because there's going to be their teammates are going to probably res whoever was knocked. And you want to try and escape that situation, because there's a good chance that once they get them up, all four of them, or at least three of them, will be shooting at you immediately. So reassess the situation, always look at your map and see where you could go to either escape the battle for now, or maybe try and res one of your teammates and you guys can escape together. But that actually brings up to the next point, which is reboot cards. Now, there is a time and place to grab your teammates' reboot cards, and I know there's a good chance that your teammates are going to be screaming in your headset to grab the reboot cards as soon as possible. But they buff the amount of how long a reboot card lasts. I think it's around like 3 minutes now. And if you're early in the game and storm damage isn't too much, just wait. You can seriously just wait until the enemies are gone. If they squad wipe, there's four of them. They're looting up your teammates. There's a good chance that, one, there will be heals, so you'll be able to consistently heal yourself out of storm. But two, you want to make sure that you survive the situation, because a lot of the times people will just go in there thinking like, all right, I'm just gonna squad wipe these guys really quick and then grab my teammates' reboot cards. But a lot of the times that doesn't really happen. Depending on who you are, of course. I mean, if I'm talking to Tifu right now, I don't have any advice for that guy, because yes, he squad wipes teams all the time. But you don't know who you're necessarily facing, and it's better to just grab the reboot cards once the other team leaves, especially if they don't know your current location. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Endgame. Now, there are going to be times where, you guys might be down a man or two. You guys might have low ammo, low on health, and the storm might not be in your best situation. There are some things that are completely uncontrollable, and it's totally fine. But if you're in a position where you guys have a lot of health and you guys do have the high ground and you guys are getting storm, you want to make sure that you clutch up for your team. Now, how do you do that? I want to give a hypothetical example. The video playing right now can kind of show you how I went about it because both of my teammates were down and I saw that there were two teams left. And I wanted to make sure that those two teams were fighting the whole time. Before I kind of showed myself of where I was, because I was just camping in a bush, just waiting. I had a bad position, but once I was able to, you know, once they were distracted, I was able to get some picks, and that's kind of how you want to approach it. Is don't bum rush in there on the last guy if you don't know, if you don't know their situation, you don't know if they got heals, you don't know if they've been taking damage, if one of their teammates knocked or anything of that sort. Gather intel first. I cannot stress how important that is when approaching endgame, because if you see that a couple of their teammates are down and you see one guy's rezzing another teammate, there might be a good chance that that guy's low too, or there might be a good chance that that guy's completely distracted, has no idea where you are, and you're able to just sneak up on them, throw a boogie bomb, throw a grenade, snipe him with the hunter bolt, anything of that sort. So when it comes to end game, just there are some situations that you can't control, and there's some situations that you can. Make sure though that you gather as much intel as possible before actually approaching the fight. Anyways, that's going to be it for today. So thanks for staying for this long. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like the video. And yeah, comment down below if these tips helped and this is something that you'd want to see more in the long run. So yeah, see you.